Hello, everybody. This is Sweta Regmi. You're watching me live, and I am streaming live from Canada. This is being streamed in YouTube channel as well and the Facebook as well. Today, I'm going to talk about 7.4 scan, whatever it is going on in the market right now. And I see content and posts. Does it really take 7.4 seconds for recruiters to scan the resume? There's a study that was, there was a data provided by Ladders Inc. in 2018, and they said that it only takes 7.4 seconds for recruiters to actually toss you out from that next stage of interview. And I'm going to talk about it. And I'd like to bust this myth because it might not be true. And I will go from my experience, and people who are watching me, recruiters, hiring manager, feel free to chime in. And anyone who has been in the industry who scanned the resume, I would love to hear from you. I would like to go ahead with my perspective. It could happen. It's a hit or miss, and it all depends on the type of industry and all, like, so many things, varieties of it, right? But I think 7.4 is too harsh to toss someone out from the system. And I feel like there are some biases, if you're not giving so much time on it, then there is something, probably the work to do. Now, let me know where you guys are watching from. I see comments coming in. Do I sound all right? Everything is fine? Can you type in one for me here? If I sound all right, everything is good. It's live and you never know what could happen. So just type in one for me so I know that everything is good to go and I can dive right into it, okay? Where you guys are watching from, put the comment network. And if you're in Canada, feel free to network with the people who are commenting, and I'll probably put your comment section in there as well, or questions. I'll take the questions and answer a little bit later at the end. All right, one, perfect. All right, so Sarika, I saw you on that too. I got your message, thank you. All right, perfect. So there are people watching me all over from the world. I don't know how many people are watching right now. Let me know. So at least I kind of have an idea. I'm just gonna double check it. All right, let me see here. Are you guys a job seeker right now? Type in 2 if you are looking for a job right now. Type in 2. All right, there are like more than 75 people watching on a LinkedIn right now. All right, perfect. Let's go into it, okay? I've been in a hiring role, for more than a decade, and I've scanned like thousands of resumes. One thing I can be very sure about personally is I can pick the bad resume in 10 seconds. So here's how it works when I'm scanning the resume. Obviously, right, as a hiring manager, I know what type of people I'm looking for. So I'm looking at their title, I'm looking at their experience, I'm looking at the dates. I'm also looking at the competitors, if they worked with my competitors in the past, and see what value they can bring in, right? Those direct experience, I'm looking for it. And then 10-second rule in my dictionary applies to the bad resumes. If the resumes are really bad, I would probably don't even go down. I would just stop it right there. I'm guilty of that. And you know why? It all depends on the workload and everything you have and the pipeline that you have in the market, right? I'm going to go back to the base, how the resume makes it to the recruiter's desk or hiring manager desk matters. And I posted about this in detail, and I couldn't say it all on my couple of posts before. So I really wanted to come out here and really challenge that theory of 7.4, because we can't put that as whether you make it or not for the second stage, just based on that data. And I'd like to personally speak of it, how I would scan the resume. It was all different and how I got it. So let me give you an example. So when I'm working in the bank, I was working at the top bank. So we used to hire people in batches sometime. So it's not like one person. So there would be batches of like, we'd be sending out the email to internal employee first sometime and say, hey, do you have any referral? Can you pass that to us? And you get the referral bonus as well. Send us a resume, and the hiring team would be, HR would be sending it out, blasting that email to internal employee. And then whoever actually made that list, HR would scan it. Obviously, it would be different system. HR would scan it, and then they would be invited for open house by invitation only. You see, when they made that to the next round. So when that open house, happened, there would be a bunch of managers, like so many managers, to the point that we didn't even have enough managers from our department. So we had to open the weekend lot and invite the other manager from the other team as well, just to interview. Now, keep in mind, a lot of hirings going on in that batches in one day, like boom, 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 like back and forth all day you're interviewing, right? And manager like us, we're getting like, 20 or 50 interviews, and the resume sometimes not even provided. It's on the spot. You're just going in there, or sometimes it's provided, but I won't have a time to go and look into the resume. This is where the trust factor comes in, right? So we have the talent acquisition team, and they scanned it. We need to learn to trust them because we've already provided the list of the skills that we need as a hiring manager: job skills, hard skills, soft skills, experience, and everything, that what I want. So we're assuming at this point, I am assuming at that point, that whoever I'm interviewing, the HR has probably done the right job. Recruiters have done the right job of giving me the right candidate. Now I'm fully focusing on the interview. Honestly, I'm not even looking at the resume. The time that I'm looking at the resume at that point is probably going in there with you. And I would probably ask the question, hey, can you tell me about yourself? Walk me through the resume. So I've not even looked at the resume, and I'm being honest here, right? And a lot of managers out there are the same boat. It depends on how much of interviews going on, how it comes in. You see what I'm saying? So that 7.4 second is busted. Right? So recruiters, I don't know about recruiters. Sometimes recruiters would not even have a time to scan everything the way that they're getting open houses. They're probably like, because it's from referral, because they would expect that referral would be referring the right candidate. So they would not be spending so much time either, right? Because they have a checklist. They're provided the checklist by the hiring manager saying that I want this, this, this. And you have to understand that recruiters do not do the job, right? So, they would not understand the core competencies, what exactly the person's going to be doing. They just have the checklist of it. They're looking at the checklist. And this is where you need to please recruiters' eyes from top. Now, keep in mind, I'll give you one example. So when you're looking at the content on LinkedIn, someone's content on LinkedIn, there's a line up there, hookup line there. And then, you really like it and you feel like, oh, that's for me. I want to read this more. Like, that line there, right? Start with the line. Some people start with the data. Some people, there's a technique to it, to how to write the content. So, and then your job as a resume person, whoever's writing as a job seeker, is to make sure that you want that recruiter to click on that resume, go down, down, down. So the most important item, you got to put in there. If you fluff it, and if you're just going like detail-oriented, result-oriented, and like all those fluffiness without providing evidence, you know what? They're going to be bored. And as a hiring manager as well, like, it doesn't matter to me. You're expected to be detail-oriented. You're expected to be customer-centric oriented, right? Now, that's where the strategy comes in. So the top part of the resume gets an attention for you. That's where the 10-second that I'm spending. And then I'm quickly navigating to the title and all those things. And I'm like, okay, you know what? More than 1 minute sometimes. If the resume made to my desk, probably 1 minute. 1 minute I'm scanning it. If I'm just interviewing one person on that day, right? So 7.4 does not give me enough time to actually say, no, this person doesn't get an interview. If I am the first one getting that resume, you see my point? I'm a hiring manager. Normally, by the time it reaches to hiring manager, your probably resume is, seen by a couple of recruiters, sometimes HR managers. It depends on how the recruiting system works, how the business partner work with the hiring manager. I hope that makes sense. All right. So the other one is, I'm going to tell you this. This is where you got to please the, human eyes. And we talk about ATS, applicant tracking system, and we talk about they're tossing the application without looking into it. They're rejecting it. So, and you gotta think about it, right? There's a system in place for recruiters and hiring managers so they don't actually overwork and like manually scan it, but they're still required to go and scan all the resume with the eyes. And imagine if they have thousands of resume coming in for one posting, how much of time they are going to scan. It's what, the workload is too much for HR people, trust me. I've seen HR people working from working more than 15 hours some day. And they're like, a lot of workload. We don't know what happens. There's no control over when the posting is posted, if 5 people are going to apply or thousands of people who are going to apply. Now, if the company does not have a mandate requirement saying that you need to review each and every application, whatever comes through, and recruiters do not have that requirement in matrix, and they're not measured on performance based on you got to complete your work. And there are going to be bad apples out there, and it's a system. They're going to pick it from ATS and see the scoring matching and everything, potentially. I hope not, right? But then they're going to pick it up from the top candidate who meets that higher score or something like that. That's where you got to worry about it. But a lot of recruiters out there in very good companies, they have a mandate to make sure that they actually clean the queue. There's an SLA, they have to clean the queue, right? So you got to be strategic about it. On that, what happens is if your resume is never landed on hiring manager on that process, what you want to do is, this is where the networking comes in. I want you to make sure that you're the right fit, you're qualified. You want to make sure you are actually putting it down on top. That includes the job skills, the hard skills and soft skills, the requirement. Do you meet the education? Do you have to have a certification? There's a difference between the requirement and preferred. I really want you to focus on the requirement one. If you meet 80% or more, please apply. Anyone who tells you shoot the shot, gotta be careful, because then you should be okay. You should be okay to get that rejection email. You don't meet our requirement, then you should not be blaming recruiters and hiring managers on it, because you've now applied for something you should not have applied. And there's the other approach. If you think that you're qualified and you meet 60%, but 20% is something that you want to work on it, you could potentially reach out to a hiring manager or a job poster and find out, saying that, hey, I meet this. Are you willing to actually look into it? Should I complete the application process? And honestly, I'm not going to tell you something I have not lived. I have lived this strategy. I personally did it as a job seeker after my layoff. When I saw that there was something I'm missing, I never applied later on. I called the, job poster. I also called the hiring manager directly. It was all built in on LinkedIn. And then I said, you know what? I made this. This is what I don't have, but I can transfer. Do you need to have that? And managers were really good at it. It depends on what hiring managers want. Recruiters and hiring managers are working hand in hand. They want to get the right candidate, right? So we need to stop blasting recruiters and hiring managers, because I've seen the both worlds. I've been a hiring manager. I've been on the other side of job seekers where I've been rejected. And most of the time, honestly, I was rejected because I was not clear on what I wanted. I didn't have a goal. I didn't have a marketing plan. I was spraying and praying, and I'm pointing the fingers, right? Because I did not know, how do I please the management? When they look at my resume, I didn't even know what goes on the resume on top. It's although I was scanning the resume for so long, I had no idea about the strategy to implement it. And I apply all those strategy in my program right now. All the mistakes I've done as a job seeker, I apply that in my class right now, because I don't take people in my program who are not qualified to apply for the job. I say, you're not the right one. I cannot implement those keywords for you and work together if you're not qualified, but I can give you directions. So this is where people go wrong. People are like, I am qualified, I'm going to apply, right? So you need to stop doing that before the self-doubt kicks in, because this is where you're going to lose the confidence. You'd be like, well, I've applied to 100 jobs and I'm not getting a single email or interview. You need to self-reflect and see, were you qualified? Right? Did you do everything right? Did you actually go and write the resume you're supposed to write it? It's not about what you did. It's all about what's on the job description. Every resume, that's why, needs to be customized, okay? It's like a marketing commercial. You don't put everything on the marketing. Like, the marketing, when you see the commercial, you don't see everyone talking about for 1 or 2 minutes. You just see sections of what are the pains, right? And then as a consumer, you go out there and say, I need that. They just planted that seed on your head saying that I need that right now, right? That's exactly the strategy on resume as well. That's a hook. In fact, you want to miss some of the key details. You want them to call you, to ask, hey, can I talk to you? Because recruiters are going to be like, everything is there. I think I'm going to go and ask them. I'm going to call them. And the resume's job is to get those interview. I hope that makes sense. Do not over-explain yourself, because on some kind of role, what happens is, if you are not able to write concisely, you might be flagged out because you cannot even write it concisely. And the role and responsibility requires those job skills in the market. I hope that makes sense. So the myth is, it all depends on how the resume lands on the hiring manager desk, if they're the first one. Now, I'm going to give you the other example. I'm just going to go and see if there's anything here. All right. I'm going to go and give you the other example. So, okay, when I was not hiring in batches, so there was the role that was created, customized for a different, when I was promoted, customized for that team. And then I was told that let's go and write the job description. So me and my director, my manager at that time, we sat down, we revamped everything. We wrote the job description ourselves. We ran it by a chart. Everything was passed, good to go. So when we posted for that role, the title was not matching with the industry outside, because it was strictly customized to that, department for that bank. And that was a hard call for us, because I'm not getting any matching resume on the ATS, applicant tracking system. It was very hard for us, me and my business partner, to work together on it, because I'm not getting the right match. So later on, what happens is, obviously lesson learned was, you don't just create the customized role and then, go out there and fully advertise it, because, the roles are not out there. And this is where most job seeker go wrong. And I've had that recently in my coaching session with clients as well. If you're looking for the role, let's say, you're on a business development role and you wanted to go into the sales, tech sales or something like that, there's a lingo that it's customized in different industry. I've seen partnership associate, that could be translated to the, from that to that as well. Depends on the job skills, job description. I'd like you to reflect that, because the title is really important. We skim through it, recruiters skim through it, ATS scans through it. It's like it goes hand in hand. Do not forget to customize that and put it in the bracket as well if you want to, right? And explain. But you're not lying. Make sure that whoever is on a reference later on, they're aware of it, why you changed the title, and they're aligned with what you're going to do, right? Make sure you do that. Not that if you've never managed the people, you've never had a direct report, you don't want to create the title manager, right? That's lying. Make sure that, you and whoever's providing the reference they have a good understanding of it, because you're creating the task list when someone's actually running the reference check, because it would be coming up in the reference check. All right. Let me see if there's anything else that I have that I missed it. And you know what? And I know that people are very vocal about, well, you should apply for any job if you feel like, even if you're not qualified. I'm against it. And that's my personal opinion, right? I know there are not a lot of jobs out there which is 100% match. And do you really even want to go for like 100% match? You want to stretch yourself, right? I'd be bored if I'd be doing like exact same thing 5 years from now. I'd be like, I need to stretch myself. That's why I say 80% and 20% is something that you potentially want to learn, right? And there's no motivation for you. So I'm against that, and especially with the compliance as well. When you're applying for a specific type of role in compliance in Canada, and it happens in states as well, you got to make sure you meet the 100% of the requirement. There has to be, right? Even in a unionized role in Canada, you got to make sure that you meet the 100% of the requirement. Otherwise, you can be tossed out. It doesn't matter. So be prepared of getting those rejections if you're not applying for the right role. And the way to please the human eyes in 10 seconds, that's what I teach in my resume writing class, is there's a strategy we implemented, defining the niche and with the rich approach. And there's I teach you all those. The marketing plan is part of the resume writing course as well. Listen, I am personally a resume writer as well, but always I give the option to a client saying that, listen, I can teach you, or you can pay me for writing it as well, but you need to learn how to write it, because I'm not going to sit here and edit all the time. You're going to have to pay me. So it's heavy on your pocket. And then my resume courses comes with the crash courses as well. So they don't need me to edit it later on, because it's costly, right? I love to teach, and I focus on that aspect. You need to learn. I don't know you much better than yourself, honestly, but I provide you directions on how do you write your own resume and make an impact on human eyes, past those channel where there's a screening as well. And now you have a recruiter who has a checklist to meet it. And then when it goes into the hiring manager desk, they actually know what kind of people they want, because recruiters have a checklist, but hiring managers looking at it, and they know the role to the core. So that's when you got to make sure that you please them. And if you feel that, it's not going to reach the hiring manager, there are a lot of applicants, you see it on LinkedIn, or you feel like it's a hot job, I definitely want you to reach out to a hiring manager and send it to them. So even if they have not looked at it, if they forgot to look at it, if they have a work overload, whatever it is, you are on their personal email. And I've gotten that, and I've made that impact as a job seeker. How many times people don't look at the resume and they called me later on, okay, well, you send me an email, let's talk. Honestly, but you have to realize, don't take it personally. Not every hiring managers are involved on that, okay? There's a compliance in place that they're not allowed to talk to outside people because there's a bias, it's issues, right? So they just make sure everything is confidential. Learn to just, back out when that happens. You would normally know they're not going to be involved, and there are people, they're not even going to give you the email of hiring manager. But if you find out the process, that's okay, but you've tried, all right? Make sense? All right, so let me see if there's anything at all. And you know what? The other thing I want to do is I love chronological one where I can, I know people say hide the gap, go functional resume and everything. I don't like it, my personal opinion, because it doesn't go easy on my eyes, and it's already red flag on it. It's what is it now? What is it missing? Why is the person trying to hide the date? So even though you have gap, own it and put it in there. Maybe there's a small section you can put it in there, right? That's where the cover letter comes in handy, so you're not tossed out. Now, you know what? There are bad apples out there, guys, right? There's a biases in there. You can only control so much, but you gotta be making sure that you are qualified before you try to point the fingers. When you're pointing the fingers right here to you, everyone is wrong except me. The process is wrong. Try to make sure that you stay motivated and block that noise, in a myth like this. Hey, you can be rejected all the time. 80% of them, on a resume, they reject you. Or, it just takes 7.4 seconds for you to get the, tossing out. Block it. All you got to do is, am I qualified? Do I meet the job skills? 80% or so. Do I really want to go out there and network with the hiring managers? And do I really know how do I convey on a writing on a resume? Nobody teaches, I don't blame you, nobody teaches us in the school and colleges how to write the resume, how to market yourself. Personal branding starts at the resume. Your first impression starts at the resume. If the person does not, have not even talked to you, that's your first impression. That's your branding on a paper. Are you okay? What? Resume is a piece of paper. It's going to be in the desk of somebody, and you're not able to even explain. That has to be so clear that the person's what? I want that person to get an interview. Why you? Why are you unique? Your value, the pain you're trying to solve. And it's all on the job description. itself. The answer is on the job description. Now I'm going to talk to you. So there's YouTube channel. Feel free to subscribe on YouTube channel as well. I come up with a lot of tutorials on YouTube, and there's a blog on the website as well. I'm opening the class for resume course. I only work one-on-one live resume courses. I teach them. It's all catered to the targeted market. Go and sign up. And when I'm saying beat the bot, it's totally different meaning, right? Like, there's a bot system and there's an ATS system and everything. My contents are fully on a resume is based on content, pleasing the hiring managers and how to showcase your branding, right? Stop worrying about the ATS if you're qualified. Stop worrying about the hacks to get an interview, because it would be seen on an interview, trust me. All right. So one of the last client who just switched to the new role, she was a newcomer a couple of years back, and she did not have a single interview. She just switched with the resume classes that she signed up for. And you know what? She would be potentially coming in live to share her stories. And you know what was a differentiation factor for her? The title that she had back home, she was working in the bank. It was different title here. And I teach those strategy. How do you navigate and see what are the titles? You do the job, you do the same job, but how do you transfer those into this market, right? Title matters. And her title was something totally different than I can even imagine. You see, you got to do the homework, research. If you qualify, then go for it. All right, let me see if there's any questions here, and I'm going to wrap it up. Let's see. I'm just going to go and see. Oh my God, there's so many comments, which is absolutely fantastic. I'm just looking at it and seeing here. My screen is not refreshed. All right. Now it's refreshed. So Pino, yeah, I mean, it's coming from recruiter, 6 to 10 seconds. I kind of agree to it, yeah. But I would love to hear from you, Pino. Is it, you know what, Pino, you're right. I'm like, if you're in the industry for so long and you know what you're looking for, it doesn't take so long, right? And as a hiring manager, I can attest to that. The reason I said 10 seconds was because I toss out the bad resume in there. It's like, well, this is not the right fit and I'm not going to go with the interview, right? And you're right. If you know what you want, and there are a lot of new recruiters, they don't know what they want, right? They might spend so much time. So the average probably would be right. But 7.4 dot on probably was something that I was challenging. But yeah, as a recruiter myself, I scan resumes very fast. Listen, me too, buddy. Hiring manager for so long, I knew what I wanted, and bang on, this person gets an interview, this person doesn't get it. And then as a resume writer, and I teach, and when someone actually sends me the resume, can you review the resume? I'm usually quick. 10 seconds, what are the roles you're targeting? This, what are the industry? This. I'm like, okay, well, you know what? You need to work on this. Let's talk about it. All right. So let's see. Sunita says, very informative. Thank you, Sunita. All right. There are a lot of questions. I got to go. But again, I think, let me see. Let me see if there's any questions that I can pick in. Any hiring managers watching right now, put in comments. I would love to see how long does it take for you to scan this. All right, so I'm going to wrap it up. But thank you so much for watching, everybody. And if you have any questions, I have open message. You can send me the LinkedIn message and we can go from there. And if you're struggling, if you're not getting interviews, chances are probably you're not able to brand properly on a resume. You're not able to make that first impression on the resume. And it's humans span of attention is less than goldfish. Someone actually put the note on it when I wrote that content in here. Someone actually said, the attention span of the human brain is gone lower and lower. It's less than 10 seconds too, 7 something, whatever, 7 seconds or something. So you got to make that lasting impression. So why this person, not this person? So that starts from resume writing. If you are sending a resume and that's the first piece of impressions, But if you already know people, you're getting from referral. If you already know have a connections, they already know you. If there's a networking going on, then they might not spend so much time on resume because they already know your work. Okay, so it all depends on how do you get that resume into the desk to get an interview. I wish you good luck and have yourself a great weekend in a different part of the world. And sign up for my courses if you're the one who's struggling, newcomers in Canada especially, and laid off because of COVID as well. It's really hard to bounce back, but job markets are there. And if you're not able to crack an interview, I'm there for you. Take care. Bye-bye.